Thank you, Rachel. Here we are again for another of our Multihull Solutions and the Yacht Sales Co-webinars. As I always say, we'll just hold on for a little while whilst all of those people who've registered for today's presentation come online. Amazing, actually. We've got I think we've got probably one of the largest pre-registrations for a webinar that since we started these back in 2020 for today. So it's obviously a topic that's of great interest for a lot of people. So preparing your yacht for sale. Having been through the presentation over the last couple of days, I think the information we're going to share today is very important and very valuable for those people who are considering making their boat ready for sale and thinking about listing the yacht. That picture that we're seeing there is our Gold Coast Sales Centre down at the Boat Works on the Gold Coast. All of those boats are displayed out of water there. It's a unique and very successful method of presenting the multi-hulls of Multihull Solutions and the monohulls of Yacht Sales Co for sale. Brainchild of, I think, Pat, you've been heavily involved in setting that up initially, yes?
Yeah, we started with the early days and then has expanded and more. So now we've got the office just around the corner, and it's a fantastic facility. It's pretty much unique. Maybe, I don't know whether in the world, but it's a very special place where people can access to several boats and jump in. They're all exposed. You can check the areas there underneath and everything, the props, the rudders and everything. So it's really good. You can bring your surveyor and have it all checked there in one go.
And is it, and we're going off topic here, but that's okay for a moment while we're waiting for everyone to join us. But is it economically smarter for people to have their boat on display like that if they're listing it for sale?
For sure. It's, I don't know, around half the price to the marina around the same corner there. So you lift the boat, and then for a lot of our clients, you know, they can safely fly back home wherever it means. Some of them go back to Europe. You know, they finish their trip around the world, and they leave the boat there in good hands, and they can fly away. Everything's winterized, everything is safe. You've got, you know, security there. All the contractors are around. As you know, you've got Riviera, Maritimo, all the big builders are around the corner. Myriad of contractors to fix this or that. So it's one of a kind facility.
Yeah, very good. All right, so we'll get back to the topic of today's presentation. And once again, in the background, thank you, Rachel, for organising and motivating our team to put these webinars together. So today we're here with Patrick and with James to discuss preparing your yacht for sale. And as I said at the start there, while we're waiting for people to clock in, we've had a really large number of people registering to watch today's presentation, so a topic of interest. Our next webinar, this is, I think today is our 28th webinar. All of those webinars that we've done previously are able to be watched or viewed on the Multihull Solutions or the Yacht Sales Co YouTube channel. If you just go in there and look for playlists, and you'll see the webinar series, and all of our webinars are there. Our next webinar is 2 p.m. on Thursday, the 28th of October, so in a month's time. That one is Destination Vanuatu. So some people who are watching today may remember that a few months ago we did Destination New Caledonia with John and Richard. It was one of our best and most watched webinars. So it only makes sense that we come back to John and Richard and bring them in again, and we have a chat about Vanuatu, which sort of fits together with New Caledonia as being the areas that people will sail off from the east coast of Australia or come across to from the Eastern Pacific to visit. And then the month after that, one of our favourite Fontaine-Pajot owners is obviously Michael and Marita Lysart. They're currently over in Greece on their Elba 45, having previously owned a Lucia 40. After sitting out the lockdown over there in Turkey over the last 12 months, they're now off and cruising again. If you don't follow them, they're certainly great to follow on Facebook under Let's Dance Sailing, and you can also obviously watch them on YouTube. So on the 25th of November, our last webinar for 2021, we're going to have a session with Michael and Marita from on board their boat, wherever they may be in November. Now, as we always do, if you want to ask any questions today, we welcome them. All you have to do is click on the Q&A button, type your question, and then either Rachel or I will respond, and we'll either interrupt the gentleman and if it's sort of a question that's relevant to where we're up to in the discussion, or we'll hold it over for a Q&A session at the end. Now, the last presentation we did with Patrick was so successful, we had a very long and very effective Q&A session. So today's presentation is also set up to be the same. We're going to go reasonably quickly through the actual presentation on the expectation that we're going to have a fairly active Q&A session at the end of today's presentation. So please get your questions ready and set them all up. And as we do at the end, we'll then go through and answer them all. And if we flick over, so myself, I've actually been, I'll be honest, I don't normally say where I am and what I'm doing, but I just had the privilege of spending 3 weeks over in France. I went over to the factories and also to the Cannes Boat Show. I'm currently in hotel quarantine in Adelaide, of all places. That's where I am today. And Rachel's up there on the Sunshine Coast. And then we've got Patrick and James, both in Mooloolaba. So if we flick over there, we'll just explain. Patrick, I think most people have met now through our webinar presentations, is our brokerage manager. And James is our senior sales consultant who in Mooloolaba, but very much active in that southeast Queensland area and all over Australia in helping people list and sell their boats. So we've got two of our finest here to talk today. So what I'm going to do now is step back and let Patrick and James take over today's presentation.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Greg. It's a real pleasure to be there with you guys again and participating in this new webinar. Let's make it fun and hopefully interesting for all of you here. Thanks, James, for joining us as well.
Thanks, Pat.
All right, let's start then. Let's keep some time at the end for the questions. Let's see whether we can go through this together. So yes, preparing your yacht for sale. It's decided you want to sell the boat now, and as it says here, a bit of a struggle between emotions and reason. It's probably your most valuable assets, charged with a lot of memories. You've spent some amazing time on the boat, but you also have to face the reality of the market, the price and everything. So we have to find a fair balance, and hopefully we'll be able to guide you through the whole process now. But so what is to take into consideration? Timing, obviously, is a very important factor. Some, a lot of people ask us, when is a good time to sell the boat? So yes, sometimes are better if you have the luxury of the choice. Say at the moment, it is a pretty buoyant market. You can say also maybe over Christmas is a bit of a quiet moment because they're all thinking about other things with the family, or when the season is on here in Australia, for example, and people are cruising up in the Whitsundays or wherever, they are not really in the mood of selling. So you'll see less boats on the market. Probably a good time for you, if you can, to put yours there. Could trigger some interest because of all the people who missed out on that season. So if you can choose, yes, but normally you have some other constraints there, maybe the family, projects, whatever, which push you to sell the boat. So if you can, follow the market trend. At the moment, it is fantastic for sellers. Plenty of buyers around. Everyone wants to go on the boat. In those times of uncertainties, no one can travel around so easily. Greg's been a bit lucky, but he was through the business there. Otherwise, you can't go anywhere. So everyone wants to be on the boats, but those who own a boat are pretty keen to keep them. So plenty of buyers, a few sellers. That's why we call it a seller's market. So now is a good time. And if you can adapt, and follow the trend, it'll be ideal. But as I say, sometimes you have some other constraints. One thing is sure, you don't want to go too quickly. So you want to make sure that everything is ready before you offer the boat for sale. Isn't it, James, today we've got too many examples of people who want to rush through the process, and you burn your best chances of the quick launch or nice launch.
That's true, Pat. Just getting your boat prepped and clean and tidy, ready for sale before you put it on the market and before you have people coming through it. It translates to dollars.
That's it. What is the other thing you want to take into consideration? Location. As it says here, location, location, location. You can see here the facility in the Gold Coast with a hard stand and our little office there in the corner. That's a perfect location, close to Brisbane airport. People can fly in from anywhere and either take the train down or drive down to the yard and have a look at all the boats there. So location is crucial. And yes, it was, I remember location was in my book, marketing book, when I was a student, so many years ago, and I've got a white beard, but it is certainly extremely important to consider when you put your boat on the market. So you obviously want to get the boat as close as possible to where the buyers are. So don't keep your boat in remote locations or anything. It's going to be always more difficult. Even in a seller's market, you want to be close to the buyer. They're all lazy. Sometimes they may not think about your boat. And while we take them onto something else, we get them onto your boat there as well, which was out of their budget. But then I think, wow, it's not that bad at all. And maybe we'll stretch a bit. And here you go, you've got a deal.
So Pat, as a practical example of that, I've got some clients that we've just been dealing with over the last few months, and I won't mention names or boat, but you know, they decided they wanted to upgrade and buy a new boat, and part of their decision process then is, right, we've got to sell the existing boat. And at the time of discussing the new boat, they were sailing up around Cairns and Hinchinbrook Island, but being smart, they've then moved that boat now, and I think last weekend you met them. They've brought that boat down to Southeast Queensland because they know that if they're going to sell the boat for the right price and in the right time, that's where the boat needs to be. So that's a classic example, yeah.
Absolutely.
It is, Greg. Yeah, I've got several boats that are on the move at the moment, and people are just lining up waiting for them to come into a port to inspect. And they're all waiting for them to come down to Mooloolaba or the Gold Coast. They're the places that they want to come to.
Yeah, and yeah, so it's not like we just say it because we're trying to make it easy for us. You know, it's because it's easy for everyone.
It is important for us to be able to get access to the boat quickly, to show the boat. We have to often to bring some contractors. So if the boat is in a remote location, we'll be struggling. Surveyors, people to work, mechanics, anyone there, maybe to lift the boat is also a hassle, whereas wherever we are there is usually one of the good places to sell for a good reason. We are there, but everything is around as well. So you have to...
And obviously without sounding, because we've got to be careful not to become Southeast Queensland centric here. The other thing too is that before COVID, and we would all hope within the next few months post-COVID, the other centres that work so perfectly for us are the Thailand, the Phuket centre, the Sydney centre, the Auckland, our Auckland location. So it's not like we've only got one. We've got like a multitude of perfect locations to present boats for sale. Yeah. Yeah,
I'll show in a bit there where we've got different offices there as well. But even in the whole world, it'll be the same constraints. So you want to be, as it says here, close to major cities, airports for easy access, for the clients. You want to be able to reach as many people as possible. And
also in saying that too, Pat, if you are in a location that's challenging, we do everything that we can to try and facilitate the sale for the boat for you. And we work in well with sellers and the buyers to try and get them to locations. And so don't be put off. We're just giving you the best case scenarios.
True. We can organize those deliveries and everything.
Mm.
So people ask, marina, hard stand, and well, look, they both have advantages. In the marina, it looks certainly always more glamorous. It's easier to show a boat in the marina in her natural environment, shall I say, because and it's easy also to go for your sea trial, show the boat. So way easier out of a marina if you can afford the cost. Hard stand is cheaper. You can bring a surveyor there easily and everything, as we said, but it doesn't look as cool, as attractive as to see the boat in her environment. And we discussed about the brokers for the inspections and everything. If overseas, that's very important. I had a discussion with some of our clients with their boats for sale. You want to check the tax status in every country to make sure. We've got one for sale in Denmark at the moment, and it was a little bit on the edge in terms of his allowance to stay there in the EU. But guess what? If he had to pay his taxes in Denmark, it's probably one of the highest with 25% VAT. So make sure you know all this before you pick the boat before you pick the country where you leave the boat. And in Europe, if you can, and we discussed this also with some other clients, you want to make sure that you can reset the clock. Remember, you've got usually 18 months to travel within the EU. So if you can, try to reset that clock by visiting another country outside of the EU just before you put the boat for sale. This way, you have the full 18 months ready for the next owner. And I think that's something very important. You can sometimes put the boat in abundant storage. You can call us there. We'll discuss this separately. In some places, like in Greece and everything, they allow you to put the boat and stop the clock, or pause the clock, shall I say, to benefit of the 18 months. So here, Greg, as you said, there are several offices that you can benefit from the brokers. So the easiest would be to pick one of them. This way we can really help and put someone close to you and offer all the services, find the right contractors and everything. So you can see here, this is for the Asia Pacific with our direct offices, but we have partners around the world as well. So with your boat in Europe or even in the US, we can help there as well. Maintenance. So that's the favorite from James. So I think I'll let him, he's more of a technical guru here compared to my knowledge of everything there on the boat. So what can you tell us there, James?
Well, one of the really most important things that you can have is records available of maintenance work that you've had on the boat, or that you've done on the boat. Being able to substantiate claims of new rigging or recent rigging, maintenance services on the engines or on your sail drives or something like that, and also for new gear that you might have on the boat. We're always asked for maintenance logs, maintenance records of boats, and if we can provide that to a buyer, if you have that available, that's worth a lot of money to you, because it does show that maintenance has been kept on the boat. Rigging checks.
It would be to keep the everything nicely kept into your proper folder, with the dates, or depending which order you picked there. That's really helpful. It shows the buyer that everything's been done the right way. Everything is in order there for the boat. It gives a very good image.
It does. Even if you're in a position where you're cruising around Pacific East, specifically for people around the Pacific that have been cruising out there, and it's difficult to get a known mechanic or something to do work on your boat, and you do it yourself. If you're doing things like that, put it in your logbook. Have a log to show the work that you've done on the boat. Even that's very useful, because people understand that out in the remote areas you don't always have access to a mechanic.
Yeah, so if you can get the engine service, rigging checked, everything there before the sale, it would really make it a lot easier. And if there's any problem this way, you'll be the first one to know, and don't wait for the survey to pick them up. Be proactive. That's
right. Even rigging checks. If you have an older rig, you consider getting a quote for a replacement of the rig if you don't want to go to the expense of replacing it. But we have found, in several recent boats that having the rigging redone on an old rigged boat really increases your opportunity to sell the boat and at a price that you've been asking for.
It takes that, it's like taking that piece of the discussion out of the discussion, isn't it?
Yep, that's
absolutely.
Because if it's not done, then the buyer is always going to just keep throwing it up as a reason to push the value down. Yeah,
that's exactly right, Greg. And the less things that people have to point at on your boat that need replacing, regardless of the price that's set on it, if they see rigging's required, they'll probably try to negotiate the rigging. If it's done, then it's not a negotiation point.
That's it.
And they always overestimate the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah. Other things too, blackwater tanks. Well, I've found this a couple of times just recently. Full tanks. Make sure that you empty your tanks, because sitting on the hard stand for a long time, or sitting in the marina for a long time with full tanks, they do tend to start to smell a little bit after a while, regardless of how good they are.
Yeah, I think a proper emptying there, but also a proper clean there, rinse it all off, put the products and everything. Do this in forehand, because once you're in the marina, it's too late, or once you're on the hard stand, even worse. So all this, I think, should be checked way before and taken care of. This way, you'll remove a lot of trouble, because there's nothing worse than this very excited, motivated couple jumping on the boat and getting put off by a terrible smell. Mate, this is the end of it. You'll never see an offer on that boat with those people.
That's what I was about to say, the same thing. I don't think you can ever undervalue the importance of the smell of a boat as much as the look of a boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing that we can't really describe when we try to sell the boat, over the distance to someone.
Yeah.
He's going to end up climbing on the boat and realizing what it is. So we can't lie. And that's something very important. It looks silly, but it has to be done in forehand.
Yeah. Yeah, anti-fouling. This is, don't necessarily have to go and get your boat anti-fouled before you sell it, because it can be part of the survey. You could introduce it to the client as part of the survey when they do it. But we were discussing a bit earlier, Pat, about getting a diver on the boat prior to it being lifted or prior to it being sold, just to clean the underside of the boat and around the waterline. It's going to look that much nicer when people come to the boat.
I think if the boat stays in the marina and you've got the opportunity to do it, do it. If you're doubting, just do it, because it's going to bring, again, one thing less to argue about. It's done, shows a lot of proactive maintenance on behalf of the seller, puts the buyer into confidence, into trust. Obviously, if the boat gets lifted out of the water on the hard stand, probably not a good idea, in which case I would probably suggest more of a cleaning. And yes, here we just had the case of some clients selling their monohull, and they were smart enough to get the hull cleaned in the water by some divers, which means that when the boat got lifted for the survey, it looked fantastic. And this, again, everything counts there in terms of cosmetic, and everything brings, you know, more confidence from the buyer to put the best offer, because he realizes you're not going to find anything else the same way. This one is unique, and he wants to put the top dollars. We really want to make sure that the first guy who jumps on the boat is the one who's going to buy the boat. So,
yeah, having the yacht checked over by a broker. Look, one of our jobs when we come on board a boat to assess it for sale is to walk around the boat with buyer's eyes. And we go on there and we look at the things that we expect that a buyer is going to look at from the years of experience that we've had. We know where they're going to go and what they're going to look at. And so having a broker come on board the boat and go through it with you and point out things, and don't get offended by things that we point out, because we're not trying to be cruel or mean or anything like that. We're just trying to point out things that can deduct from the price of your boat. And if they're things that are easily fixed and cheaply fixed, then that's a bonus.
Yeah, I think the job of the broker there is to identify possible objections which may arise from inspections by buyers. So yeah, we had the case of an owner who was very upset because you pointed out some structural cracks there, and he got all offended. But it shouldn't be the case. This is our job, is not to. Yeah, of course, we'll tell you the boat is nice if this is the case, but we are there to find any potential hiccup there before they happen from the buyer, because then usually it'll be too late.
Yeah, particularly if you're talking about a boat of high value. You know, if we're talking about a $2 million catamaran, if you notice cracks in the gel coat, then it's going to be picked up by the buyers, because they're going to be discerning buyers come on board. They're going to look at those sort of things, and they're going to hammer the price.
Correct. So then we get, I think the survey has been also a question, and some people hesitate. If you are, for example, lifting the boat to do the anti-fouling anyway, or the boat is already on the hard stand for other things, this is a great opportunity, and we just had it today, to advise the client, the owner, to have the survey done, do the pre-purchase inspection yourself. Pay for it, get the surveyor to come and climb on the boat and check all the points there for you. Because this, especially for boats which are older than 5 years, they will be a fantastic sailing tool. It's really, trust me, money well invested, because it will really assist you. The guy, the buyer, qualified, will tell him only once he puts his offer through, he will be able to benefit from your survey. So it's not going to be something that we give to everyone just for fun. It'll be the qualified buyer will save the money, but it'll be on a survey that you've been through there already. And if there was any point that you were not aware of, then you had plenty of time to address them. You can even then show your invoices and say, okay, there was this and that, but don't worry, I fixed this and I put the best thing on it, and I fixed that as well. So now everything is absolutely fantastic. You can go ahead freely. And I think this is, again, being proactive in avoiding negative surprises, because once the other surveyor comes through and finds things, there are usually some harsh negotiation, which will be very detrimental to the value that we'll be able to get you at the end.
And as Rachel typed in before on the background, all these things are potential speed bumps. You're removing the speed bumps. So you're setting up for a fast, and I'm not saying fast being the only thing you want, but it certainly sets you up for a quicker sale.
Correct.
Yeah.
And smoother as well for the best value, because as James was saying, if you have to negotiate this with the buyer afterwards, you're going to be hammered. The
Yeah.
quotes are going to be inflated. He's going to add some more costs. He's going to say, look, I'm not going to move if you don't take this much off. And you'll be in a way more difficult position as being in control and doing it your way.
Yeah, we've had a couple of instances, just on that still though, where boats have been out of the water and about to go back into the water, and we've just suggested to a client that they get the out of water part of the survey done, the underwater. And when the boat's gone back in the water, we've had something there to offer to a client. And a few of them have said, okay, well, that's fine. We'll just go with that out of water part, and we'll commission the rest of the in-water survey. So it's saved them a little bit of money and time, and the same for yourself. It's also saved the seller a bit of time and heartache getting the boat back out of the water again.
And I think we talked about this in the last webinar we did, Patrick. This issue of we have and the seller has a very, very legal obligation for full disclosure
Yes.
on history. And this is also another way of making sure full disclosure is, it means that you're presenting a very honest picture straight away if you've got a surveyor's report already.
Correct. Yeah, you're completely open, transparent. That's the best way to sell your boats. You have nothing to hide. It's all there.
Yes. Yeah.
So detailing, James, I think you've been through this quite a few times now lately.
Yeah, first impressions. You want that dockside wow factor. So getting detailing done on your boat, getting a clean done on the boat, decluttering your boat, just getting that the cosmetics looking good, trying to get rid of, getting your stainless looking nice. This is where a professional boat cleaner can assist you. And it's like we don't get money out of boat washers and polishers for getting them to do the work. It's helps us sell the boat and helps us get the top dollar for you.
And would you say that's regardless? Would you say that's regardless of the age of the boat that the person is trying to sell? Any boat can be made to look better than it is on the day, right?
That's true, Greg. Yeah, definitely. You look, even a basic acid wash on a boat, on an older boat, will bring up get rid of rust stains and things like that off around stanchions and off the deck, and it just brings it up a little bit better.
Yeah, and I assist. I think it's very important to go through a professional clean, and no offense, but no matter how hard you'll do it there yourself, you've been on the boat for too long, and I'll be completely honest, it will never be the same. And I think you have to detach yourself, let some others put their own eyes on it, and do it on a professional way. This is money, again, very well spent. It's probably the best investment there is to make sure that everything is properly detailed. And as James was saying, you want to empty the whole boat of your personal effects there. Make sure that the next buyer is going to be able to see all the potential storage which is there available on the boat, and not feel, oh gosh, there's nothing, there's no space, everything's been filled up there already. So you have to take as much as possible.
And we've always said that thing, the boat should be so clean that you can eat your breakfast out of the bilge, because it's got to be, no matter what floorboard gets lifted up, it's shining down there.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
Styling, James, I think it's to get the beds ready if you can, prepare the whole thing there inside, but keep it simple.
Yeah, nice and simple. No, don't go too flashy with dressing on the bed. If or in the boat, don't stack it full with cushions and things like that. Just a few cushions is good, and take tablecloths off the tables because people want to see what's under them, and a lot of people are a little bit, might be a bit shy to lift tablecloths up or what have you. So good to show it. So.
We'll leave the cushions to the new boat sales team.
That's right. And we
So
can
you
help you address
discussed
those.
the-
We have some cushions and bits and pieces so we can make up a bed so that we can display it and put cushions on if you don't have them. So we can help there too.
Sure. So we did discuss the polish, and yeah, as Greg was saying, you want to be able to eat there below the bilge. Well, here we go. The engine room, I think this is a must, isn't it, James?
Yeah.
Most of our buyers, the guys there, are going to be into the engine room first before they even see what is inside of the boat.
That's right. And it's also an area that the surveyor is going to get into. And if his first impression is that it looks maintained and clean and tidy, it's going to really help you out. And, I think you can even get away with a reasonably dirty boat if your engine bay looks good.
True. No, I agree. Engine rooms is absolute must there. And sometimes even, after a clean, you can do some retouches with the paint and everything to really make it look immaculate.
That's right. Just clearing out oil out from under your engine. If you've got an oil leak, then you've highlighted something that needs to be fixed as well. So, but clean out any old oil or water that's in your bilges and in the back of the boat. And the hose clamps we've just brought up there at the moment. That's one of my big bugbears. I hate seeing rusty hose clamps, and they're always picked up by surveyors. And best practice is 2 hose clamps on your hoses. So they're not an expensive item. It's an easy one to replace.
Yeah, it's so silly because for a few cents there, suddenly you're going to compromise the whole view of the boat.
That's correct.
So rust has to be removed from anywhere you can see it. So this is so easy, and a good team of detailers will take care of this anyway.
Yeah, and corrosion around the engine as well. And you're going to get some oxidization here and there around your exchange areas. You can clean that up quite nicely. It doesn't have to be repainted or anything, but it can be cleaned so that it looks like it's been maintained.
That's it. So yeah, as you say, everyone is going to lift those covers and everything. So make sure that there is no surprise there underneath there. We even had some clients there with the big dog, and the dog is all nice and everything, but then over the years had left, I don't know how much hair there under the bilges. It had to be removed. So this is all part of the game there.
Yeah, I've spent a good half hour cleaning hair out of a bilge before an inspection recently. So.
Know what it means. Paperwork, I go quickly through this. It's a quick checklist, but I think it is very important that you've got it all ready before the sale. So proof of ownership, you need to have a bill of sale or an invoice if the boat was new. This is, it sounds stupid, but a lot of people don't have any of those ready whenever the boat is for sale, and that's not good at all. The registration certificate, so where the boat has been registered, we need a copy of that. Insurance, because they're going to be, it will be required by the marina. Tax status, if the boat has been imported, we need to get the proof there. It's very important for those foreign boats which came into Australia, or even if the boat has been imported into the EU, we need the proof. Builder certificates for most of the boats there to get the registration with AMSA in Australia. They will ask you for the builder certificate. And then, as James was saying, the logbook records, the maintenance records there, the invoices. We did mention all this. Manuals, it'd be great to have a nice box with all the manuals there in it, so that the next owner is going to be able to use those chart plotters, the generator, read about the maintenance and everything. And this is everything off your chest. It's up to him to read it all and be familiar with all that. Yeah.
And also, if you haven't used your boat for a little while, get on board and have it, check that the radar works. Check your plotters working, your wind vane, your wind instruments and things like that, because they're the most common things that we come across that We try to start them up and they're not working, and the owners go, it was working last time I was on the boat. Maybe it was, yeah. Just keep an eye on them, check them before you put the boat on the market.
And that's that classic old thing of, even in the business you're in there, James, you can't do your job if you show up to the boat at the same time as the buyer. You've always got to get there. You've got to get there that hour or so before and open it up and start things. And there's nothing worse than showing a boat if you arrive at the same time as each other.
Yeah, that's true. That's why. But
I think the seller of the boat should have the same approach, the same attitude to that. Yeah.
And that's the role of the broker there as well, to play the role of the buyer, to pretend he would be a buyer and be all critical. All right, let's go into the nitty-gritty details now about the value of the yacht. And I think everyone is interested by that as well, of course. It is the key factor. But I think you really want to go there and find a yacht broker to help you with this. It's very difficult otherwise to put the right value, and you'll see how important it is. You need to compare the current markets, obviously all the other boats, similar boats on the market, but also all the boats which have been sold. So they won't be on the websites there anymore. And you want to see what values those ones have yielded. So remember, it is not the market. It's not you there who will set the price of the boat eventually. It will be the market. It's not even the broker, unfortunately. I wish sometimes it would be us, but it will be inevitably the market which sets the prices, and we have to adapt to the market. So this is extremely important. You need to know where the market is lying, and I don't think there'll be any better person there than a broker who does this for a living day by day. You want to be able to compare apples with apples. That's sounds obvious, but you have to check for similar boats any year, the equipment, the condition, the layout version, whether the boat is taxes paid or not. These are all important points to be able to compare this. And if the boats are different, well, then you have to factor in what would it be, as an added value or less compared to yours with all those things on.
Can I go off topic for a minute? I heard you both before we started today. You said, oh, how did such and such go with selling their boat? And I think the comment from James might have been, yeah, it went really well. They ended up getting more than their asking price. How does that happen?
It happens particularly if you're in a position where you've got a number of buyers interested in the same boat. You get it in real estate where you've got a multi-buyer market and you've got multi-offers coming in. It can happen on boats as well. Because
obviously you guys buy moral, and I'm not sure whether it's law, but you have a practice where you do not disclose or ever discuss with one buyer what another buyer has offered. That's against
absolutely
the rules.
Correct.
Yeah.
That's a big no-no. This is the Dutch auction, which is not allowed. But what we do is we tell if there are several offers coming at the same time, we advise the buyer to put the best foot forward, knowing that there are some other people there. And some of them who are very keen and they know what this will lead to, make a bold move and say, okay, look, here's my offer. And I know you're asking this, and I know there are 2 or 3 other buyers on the market, but I really want to get it. And my only way to get it is to give you this one.
And I suppose the reason I raise that is because there's 2 ways to approach the sale of your boat. One is to set the price high and maybe limit the number of offers you're going to get, or is it realistic in this busy market at the moment where you go a little bit more realistic, but might still end up getting closer to what you were hoping for?
That's a really good point, Greg, because that can happen. You're getting more attention on your boat at a more realistic price, and you're making it the boat more competitive.
So what's the legal obligation? I think this is, correct me if I'm wrong, Pat, good discussion. What's the legal obligation around the fact that if you advertise a boat for price, at the end of the day, any offer is only an offer unless the seller accepts that offer, right?
Correct.
So they can reject it, even if the person's offered exactly what the sale price is, it can still be rejected. Is that true?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, look, remember, it's not only the value, you also have all the conditions attached to the purchase. And this is, in most cases, as important as the value in dollars, because if someone says, okay, I want to have this boat, but I can buy it and I want to settle next week. It's different than someone who offers you a bit more and say, okay, I still have to check with my finances and get the loan from the bank and everything, and I will settle maybe in 3 months' time. But
Yes.
If you're clever, you're not going to go for the second one. You're going to go for a bit less, but money right away into your hands. So it's up to you, but all those conditions will be very important.
All right. So sorry, I took you off course there, but
that's all right.
I think
it's always good. I'm sure some others would like to have the answer to the same question. But what is very important is, any price may not be good. If you're asking too much and the boat sits on the market, then you lose, and you lose a lot, because say now, if we don't sell your boat because you're asking way too much money, in a few months' time, your boat's going to be another year old, no matter how you want to put it. After the 31st of December, the boat will be another year older, and it's going to be more depreciation. This is what we wanted to discuss here. You want to avoid, some factors like your storage costs, a marina, hard stand, no matter what, unless it is at your own birthday, but you're going to pay some money there anyway. All the running costs, insurance, registration, and everything. The depreciation, probably around, I don't know, maybe 5% a year. So you want to get the boat sold as soon as possible. If you put the wrong price and the boat sits there for too long, suddenly you lose another 5%. We've got a boat there sitting for, it's been 2 years now. I can't imagine now how much money he's lost there already.
Yeah.
Wear and tear, this is whether the boat is sitting on the water or even on the hard, no matter what you do, it will be affected by time there. Everything gets seized after a while, corroded and everything. So especially a boat which is not being used, the best opportunity for a buyer is to buy the boat off the people who are still living on the boat. They just finished their cruise and everything. Everything's been used, everything is in working order, no problem. If the boats have been sitting there on the hard for, 5 months or more, then you can be sure that whenever you launch her back on the market, back on the water, you will get some surprises inevitably.
Very good advice.
So, and also remember, the longer the boat remains on the market, the more suspicious the buyers are going to be. And even though the boat's got nothing wrong, just a little bit too ambitious with the price, people are going to think there must be something badly wrong with this boat, and they're going to stay away from it. And they identify the boat right away. People are on the web, they're online all the time. They know quicker than we do which boats are coming on the market, which boats are being withdrawn and everything. They're there and they follow every move all the time. And you don't want to be in this position. So you have to be realistic.
Now, we've got a few questions to answer at the end, but one that's just come in there that's actually not a bad question, and it relates to where we're at. What are you finding at the moment is the average time period that a boat takes to sell? And I know that there's quite a bit to answer in that package, but
can I make a comment straight up? And that is quite often we get offers in early, but that might take longer to sell if the offers aren't looked at. So we can have a boat that will sell before it even goes to market because we have a database of people waiting to get on the boat. And other boats, if they're a little bit too heavily priced, as Pat mentioned, there's boats out there that have been on the market for up to 2 years. They're just not the right price.
Yeah.
But the price is the key, yeah, for sure. But at the moment, it is buoyant, it is strong, but you can't be too greedy there either. You still have to follow the trend of the other boats, and this is where we can help you and show you the last ones that we've sold. But yeah, if the price is right, the boat at the moment, they sell very quickly. There are a lot of buyers, but they're not stupid there either. And they're still all looking for bargains. It's just the way it is. It's the nature of everyone, of any buyer. They still want to have a win. So some boats very sought after, good production boats that well known, between 40 and 44 footer, very recent today, are very sought after, but they're very rare. We've got plenty of buyers waiting for very recent boats. And Greg, you know more than I do. How long do you have to wait today to get a new boat?
Yeah, well, I've just come back from the boat show in Cairns, and we're now into 2024 for availability for most models. It was quite incredible. At the start of the show, it was 23. By the end of one boat show, we were talking 24. A 7-day period. But also back to James's point there, we often say it, don't we, that there's three. If a boat is on the market for a long time, it's normally one of three things. It's price, presentation, or third one, I'm not trying to be mean, but it's the attitude or the personality or it's the owner. Sometimes the seller might be a bit cantankerous, and the buyers get scared off.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll be more more abrupt there. I think if the price, if the boat doesn't sell, it's going to be price or price.
Yeah.
Even if the boat doesn't present well, if she's priced accordingly, she'll sell. It's all about the price. We have to find the right price for the boat. This is absolutely crucial. If she's missing this, or if she's been hit by a cyclone, she can still be sold, just at the right price.
Good information. All right,
let's move on before I get into trouble. The broker, why use the broker? I'll go through this very, very quickly, but it is important, of course, because it's not only preparing the boat for sale, finding the advertising, putting it online there on a couple of sites. There's more to it. It is a job for specialists. This is what we do, as I say, for a living, and it's not an easy job. Believe me. It looks fantastic and glamorous and everything. It's very hard. What contract are you going to use if you sell the boat there? This is something. Are you going to draft something out of your paper there and write something? Yeah, probably. But are you sure that the buyer is going to be agreeable to this? Is he going to bring his lawyer on the table and then start a whole process, which is going to be absolutely nightmarish? Trust us, as soon as the lawyers get involved, it goes nowhere. So a contract is very important. Who will control the flow of money from the deposit, the 10% deposit? Because if you want to keep an option on the boat, someone wants to pay a deposit. Where is this going to go? What happens if, I know from the seller side, it's maybe not too much of a drama, but you have to put yourself in the shoes of a buyer. Where is he going to send his money? We've got a lot of people who come to see us and say, hey, I wanted to buy this boat. I found this guy. He's very nice, but, I don't want to send him my money. So can you please help me there and be the middleman? What happens with the survey? Once the survey is done, I'm sure, the buyer will ask for a survey. And if you haven't thought about it, you should, because you want to put something between you and the buyer, and the surveyor is probably the best man. So what happens once, people, or once they show some problems, some defects or anything, how are you going to get out of it? And is he going to get his deposit back? Are you going to enforce it? It's very, very difficult, tricky questions there to solve. And who will help work out the right price? Yes, because this is what we were saying there earlier. When you put the boat on the market for sale, you want to make sure that you find the right price right away. And who will reassure the buyer? As I said, you want to be into the buyer's shoes there a little bit. As I said, the seller doesn't ask himself all those questions, but he needs to understand that the other guy will have to think about all that. The jurisdiction, in case it is overseas, who will be responsible. And like James was saying earlier, he's checking boats for possible objections. If no one does it, it will be the buyer. And it could be the guy, your best opportunity to sell the boat, and he's going to find some objections. And if you're not ready for it, you're probably going to lose it. You're going to lose the sale. It's very difficult. So who will help you when you most need it? Again, we get some calls after everything's gone to a lot of trouble, and they call us to the rescue. But often it is too late at this stage, because everything's been damaged. The trust is broken. The guy is starting to get cold feet, the buyer, and looking somewhere else, want to pull out. He's starting to find some ways to get out of it. It's
there's something you haven't mentioned in that list there, Patrick, and maybe is there any more in that list, or is that the end of it?
No.
Yeah. One thing you haven't mentioned, and I watch you, and I watch James, and I watch the brokers on the Gold Coast, and it's not there in that list. It's all of the little things that you both do with owners and with buyers, whether it be coordinating the viewings, whether it be creating the relationship with each of the potential buyers before introducing them to the seller. It's not written there, but it's actually it's all about the bringing together the buyer and the seller with relationships.
The service. I think you're right.
The service.
It's all about the service there around finding the right contractors, the skipper who will move the boat, another marina to move the boat to, the answer to all those questions. Find the guy who will be the custom broker, find the rigger to come and jump on the boat, just before he leaves. All those things happen always in the last minute, and you need
keeping the seller and the buyer as calm as possible, because it's quite a stressful experience.
Oh yeah, especially after the survey, things start to heat up. There's no more frames.
You agree, James?
No, for sure. Look, there's lots of things that your broker's going to do for you, and jumping on the boat, like Greg was saying, half an hour before the inspection happens, opening it up, putting the cushions out, then spending maybe 1, maybe 2 hours on the boat with a prospect. If you're doing that day in, day out, and you're trying to sell the boat yourself, that starts to really, really wear away. But it's what we do. It's what we get paid to do, and we enjoy doing it, getting through the boats, and spending that amount of time with clients. We don't do it with every client, because some of them are not. You can tell quite quickly whether they're going to be on the boat or not. But the ones that are good, spend the time with them.
True. So check for a broker. Look for a well-established broker. How long has he been in business? Does he have offices there in different locations, or one at least? Has he been acknowledged by the industry standards? You've got a few here. What are his results? Can he show you, how many boats he sold there lately? Can he provide an outline of his marketing campaign, and maybe also check for testimonials? So you really want to do your due diligence there and find the right one there for you.
Very good.
All right, just quickly before we finish, there are more resources there. We've just outlined a few things to try to make it a little bit attractive there for you guys, but there's plenty of resources online, and on our website, if you check there, you've got the arrow, there's the selling page on both websites there, on Yacht Sales Co and Multihull Solutions. You can find the selling process, the way, how to market the boat, all the steps involved, the free valuation forms, so that some brokers can help you find the right value for your boat. And as I said, a marketing campaign overview, what are the points which are going to be raised there, which supports are going to be used to promote your boat, online marketing, e-news, the database, the magazines and all that. This is all very important for you to know. And of course, the recent sale. So you can find all this under selling there. So yeah, that's in a nutshell what we wanted to do in 40 minutes, 56, not too bad. We are almost on time.
Very good. So we've got quite a few questions, gents. So we'll cut straight to those. But that was good, good presentation. My understanding is that you're both having a good year in terms of,
Look,
I think people are asking that question. It comes back to that is now the time to sell,
Yeah, fair enough. It is a very very unusual, obviously, situation with the market today and the world market in general. But we've got plenty of buyers. Everyone wants to be on a boat, take the family out on a safe place, enjoy, whatever they can here around without going there overseas, which is very difficult, as we know. And so plenty of buyers, not much stock, because those who own boats are very reluctant to part with them, and they're quite happy to keep them for the same reason, take the family and everything. But it's better to have plenty of buyers and little sellers than reverse, because if we had no buyers, it would be a lot more complicated. So I'm quite happy.
Are you finding more and more at the moment where you're working with a person as a buyer first to help them find the boat they need to upgrade to, and then becoming the seller of their boat? So you're often working with clients twice, in a period of time at the moment.
Sure.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah, we have lots of people that they're coming to us saying, "Can you find a specific boat for us?" So that's happening a lot, and a lot of these people also, they have boats, so they want to sell those boats to upgrade. And a lot of them are saying, others are saying, we want to buy a boat, and we'll have this one for a couple of years, and then we'll upgrade when there's more boats on the market.
But what is interesting, Greg, is we had one today coming to the office, and he was saying, yes, I like to see my next boat, and I don't mind having two boats, but I don't want to be boatless. But this is exactly what it means. They really want to make sure that they're not going to be one state without a boat, because at the moment this is the best place to be.
And then it's a very important point that James made, and for people who are considering listing with us and buying, the fact is we do realise and understand, and it's like a good real estate agents. We know that if we work with a client on one sale, that then we should, over a 10 or 15-year period, hopefully have more and more experiences with that same client. So we're not just going to work with them once, burn them and send them off down the road. No. We want that relationship to be strong, so that you become rusted on as their broker for the next 15 years.
Yeah. Oh, it's fabulous to have people that you've worked with years and years ago come back to sell their boats through you and or to buy their next boat.
And that's why it works. It works for me when I'm selling the new boats, to be able to have you guys there, because the people are buying the boat and go, well, you've got the brokerage team. When you're ready, come and talk, and they're going to help you sell your boat if you want to upgrade or if you want to move on. So. Yeah. Now, we've got some questions. Going back to our location topic, Harry asked, with lockdown, how is location being compromised? And that's a good question, especially for those in the Asian region.
Yeah, look, Asian, but we still move boats. We have been able to move. It's just more complicated. Asia is at the moment a good place with plenty of stock there, but it's difficult to move them around. We have brought a few in the last cargo ship coming into Mackay. They unloaded some boats there for us. There are some transport doing it. It's very expensive at the moment. We found some other options with skippers and delivery crews. We organize sometimes for the owner to go and pick up his own boat. So there are some options, but
if you've got a boat in Vanuatu, Fiji, or somewhere like that, we can help you out with it. Even Papua New Guinea, I know people up in Port Moresby who have yachts up there that they need to sell them somehow. We can still help out with that. We can just work away. It's just a matter of solving the problems and getting it done the best way possible. And we have contacts in those countries.
So all the border restrictions that we've been going through in Australia here in the last number of months, you haven't seen one area, like if people are wanting to list and sell a boat in New South Wales or list and sell a boat in Queensland, is one market better than the other, or are they all still selling?
It's a hard one, Greg. I think the lockdown has affected people in Victoria and New South Wales in particular. I don't know. I'm speaking for the guys that are down in Sydney, but I think that they're finding it a little bit harder than we are in Queensland. But they do have they've got a bigger population base in some areas too, like Sydney and Melbourne.
We just had I was discussing here. There's a boat in Manly who just got sold, and everything's settling today. And the buyer is in New South Wales, so he can wait. But he bought his boat. The boat is there, ready. The handover is not happening, but the settlement for sure is, and he's the proud owner of his boat now today. But he won't be able to get access right away. Hopefully we'll find a way to get the boat maybe to Tweed at one stage, and he can pick it up there.
Very good. So I think the answer to Harry's question is, it's thrown some challenges up, but product is still turning over. So location is still important at the end of the day.
I've got a one of our clients. We sold his Sarina 48. He's now on a smaller boat. He bought a lagoon, a small one. Anyway, long story short, he's in Europe, and he wants to come back into Australia, and he thinks the best way will be on a boat. And he's saying if we can find anything in the Pacific, even from Asia, he would gladly fly over there and bring the boat across into Australia. So as James was saying, there are solutions.
Yep, very good. Now, Harry also asked, how do you establish the value of a vessel to have the offer price? And I think we've answered that already, Harry, so I'm going to move on from that one. How would you price a foreign registered boat? I think, and I'll just start that one off, really it comes down to the question of whether it's a taxes paid or taxes unpaid boat. And then the guys, the brokers, will then just look at other boats that have sold in that marketplace or that location and work together with the seller to agree on a list price.
Yeah, I think that's a fair way of putting it, Greg. It's a hard one for international. Pat, you might know that a bit better.
It's case by case, really, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think, Patrick, you've also got that, and I always forget the name of it, but you've got that access to that professional resource where you can always bring up a list. You can type in the model of a boat, the year of manufacture, so on, and you can then find out there's a database from around the world of boats of that model and make that have sold in the last 12 months or 2 years and what prices they sold for you.
Yeah, absolutely. We have access there, the same as real estate companies, to the sold boat values around the world of all the boats. So we go and check this out, and obviously check also with our own database and the boats that we have sold of a similar model or size, and we try to make the comparison. As I said, then we have to adjust to make sure with the equipment, the taxes, the transport, and everything, so that we get a comparison.
And that sold boats information, and also because it's pertinent to some other questions we've had, it also gives you the information about how long the boat was listed and what its original list price was. Yeah,
correct.
Yeah. Tells you how long we get data, like how long a boat's been on the market for and what it was originally listed for and what it sold for eventually.
Yeah, good. And that's why, again, come to a professional broker, because the professional broker can give you that information from the outset. So David has asked, is there any spreadsheet in Excel for keeping a complete maintenance rather than the hard copy? Good question, David. There's not only just Excel sheets, but there's also now, I think, some apps or some abilities where, you know, people are photographing or scanning all their maintenance documents and storing them in the cloud and so on. So there are systems out there. I don't know if Patrick and James have got one or a brand of maintenance record keeping software or something that you know that some owners use.
I could be wrong, but I haven't checked it in Navionics. I think there's an area.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I was going to say the same.
You can store maintenance details of your boat. There are other ones as well. So yeah, there are on the market. I don't have them on the top of my head.
Yeah.
You know what? I have advised some clients there in the past when they climb on the boat, and if they're not familiar with maintenance overall, it's either to be lucky enough to go through the whole boat with the previous owner, put your GoPro on and suck all the information that you can out of him on that day, because he will show you, you know, how to access the filters, the plugs and everything. And another one, and I've heard this very often from people when they were selling, when it was the end of it, they said, oh, they wish they would have had a skipper in the first, you know, few days of their ownership, someone who would show them what to do, when, and everything. And again, this is when you take notes and then build your own spreadsheets for your own boat. And then you just keep it up to date. You know, your winches have been greased on that day, and you know you have to do it, I don't know, next year again or whatever. And I think if you're not very up to date with all this, I really strongly suggest to invest into a skipper there to help you for a day or two. That's money very well invested. It will help you get the best potential out of your own boat, but also he will answer all those questions about maintenance. And this is when you write it all down and keep it then, and hopefully, yeah, into a spreadsheet.
And that's interesting, because it's exactly the same as what we do with selling the new boats. We do this. It's not like we say, here's a new boat, have a fun time. There's always some days and, you know, a period of time of support and tuition and coaching and education. So moving along, by the way, Rachel mentioned that Yacht World. Apparently there is Yacht World has a, you type that into Google, Yacht World record keeping.
Yeah, Yacht World is a big website, is a big reference worldwide to get an idea of the market, but you won't get the sold boat values. These are only accessed by professionals like brokers. We are the ones who can get access to the sold boat value.
Yes.
Yacht World as a reference is a great tool to see what the market looks like today for a particular model of boats.
Okay. A good question from Harry, I think. Given the survey, etc., so basically you guys are advocating for the idea of getting a survey done before you even, you know, go to market. So the idea that the seller does the survey rather than the buyer. Given the survey, etc., why should you do a sea trial? And I know the answer, but I'll let you answer, James. Yeah.
Yeah, sea trials, it's the hands-on part. It's where you get on the boat and feel, you take the client out and they get to feel what the boat's like, particularly if they're not familiar with the design. Getting out on the sea trial, you get to pull the sails out, you get to see what the sails are like, how the boat handles. You can hear the engines, whether there's knocks and what have you. It does, things like that come up. And it's just the hands-on feel of the boat on that sea trial. That's the main thing. It doesn't have to be a long time, but it's long enough to get a feel of it.
You would often see people who might hop onto a boat with a perception and then they go and do a sea trial for an hour and a half, and they can either walk off fully in love with it or fully convinced that that's not the boat for them.
Yeah, absolutely. That and that does happen. That's why the sea trials are there. If people get on the boat, they'll go out and look. You know, I've had people go out and get seasick, and they've come back and they said, "No, I don't want a boat." And they've gone right through everything. They've paid for a survey. They've done everything. They've got to that point where they've gone, "No, it's just this boat's not for me."
So remember, it is a very emotional purchase, and it has to be with contact, feeling, smelling, as we were saying earlier. And the sea trial is part of the dream there. They want to see the boat on the water, see how she behaves and everything. It's like buying a new car. You always get offered to have a drive there before. And often it's just part of the process. And I think it's nice. It's nice for the buyer to be able to get at the helm there, see himself, project himself in the future, going into those amazing locations on that boat.
It often seals the deal too, the sea trial. If you go out and like 9 times out of 10, it's a pleasurable experience because we won't take them out on a sea trial in a gale warning for obvious reasons.
That's why it is part of the service. It's not easy. You have to plan this accordingly. You really want to make sure that everything is lined up there. The wind is going to be all right, weather as well. You're not going to get the whole family sick on that day, like dogs and everything, and going to walk away for never to be seen again. So all this has to be planned there nicely. It has to be a good time of the day. You know, bring some sandwiches or some beers or whatever they want there, some water. It has to be, it's not too long. It's usually about an hour, but they want to see the boat, on the sail, moving, tacking, jibing maybe putting the anchor down, and everything's there up and working well. They feel all, reassured. It's their way of giving the okay to the boat and to the whole purchase process.
All right, we'll keep moving, guys. Would it be a good idea to bring a boat to a country where it's more expensive, i.e. to get a better price? Example, from Australia to Singapore, but then in brackets, but the market in Singapore is much smaller. Look, I think that's again a case by case one. That's where you talk to the broker.
But you will see on Yacht World again, have a look and you'll see that the prices are pretty much the same worldwide. Today, let's not fool ourselves. Everything is on the size of the planet. The prices are pretty much the same everywhere. It just makes it more difficult to access out of Singapore for most of the buyers. So keep it where most of the buyers are.
Now, a couple of these questions, it's 3 questions in a row, which are all about how much, first of all, who does the broker work for? Is it common for buyers to use brokers? So that's one question. But before you jump in on that one, and then the next question is from 2 different clients. What does a broker charge and how much commission is a yacht broker should ask when selling a boat? So there's 2 questions there. One is who does a broker work for, and is there buyers brokers? And the other is how much?
So the broker, he's hired by the owner, by the seller, to do the whole promotion, to ensure the whole marketing and take care. That's why we have a contract with the seller, the owner, and this contract is called the authority to sell. This authorizes us to sell the boat on his behalf. So we're pretty much acting on his behalf, taking care of the whole process. And then it works pretty much like real estate agents. The only difference is that the broker, a yacht broker, does everything. The whole marketing is supported by the broker. So we actually take the risk because if the boat doesn't sell, we're still out of pocket there for the money, but that's all right. And the fee for this is worldwide with the US and Europe and everything. On most listings, it is 10%. And in Australia, once the boat has been imported and is not going to be of much interest to all the other brokers around the world with which we have reciprocal agreements to share in the commission. If they bring a buyer, it goes down to 7% plus GST in Australia. So this gives you an idea of what we charge for full service, and we take care of the wholesale process all the way to the end for you until you receive the money onto your bank account. And hopefully we'll follow up and help you buy your next boat then afterwards. But everything is being taken care of.
And then if the buyer decides to engage a buyer's broker, which is quite common, then that's not an extra cost to anyone. Explain that, Patrick.
Well, yeah, but this is different. This is on the buyer side. If someone wants to buy a boat overseas, this is our last webinar, then the cost is still from the seller, but it will be the seller of that specific boat. We're just sharing the commission. Again, this is what we were saying. The commission out of the 10% they overseas will get all 5% by bringing the buyer for his boat. So it's of the whole buying process. We bring the contract, we'll be with the buyer there through the whole process, survey, sea trial and everything. And we're representing the buyer in this case and sharing the same commission, which is available from the seller on that boat, but probably overseas somewhere.
What about in Australia? Because I've had some clients who go, look, Greg, I know your guys, I really trust them. There's a boat that's for sale with another broker, but I'd really like one of your guys to help me purchase that boat here in Australia. What about in that situation?
Well, it has become very complicated at the moment. It wasn't that easy before, but now it's even more complicated because of the lack of stock. The other brokers now are saying, look, we are the only ones with this listing. Everyone knows we have this listing, so we're not going to share any of our commission there with you. So too bad. We'll see and wait until your buyer comes to us, or we'll probably find someone else anyway. So in this case, we can still do it, and we'll charge the buyer for the service. And then
so so you can present to the buyer and say, honestly, look, we're not going to get any on that side. If I'm happy to help you, but you've just got to pay me a fee.
Correct.
Yeah.
So we'll charge him for the service that we'll provide to him, and we'll sit down and see what is involved there. Has he been in touch already? Has he done this? Has he done that?
Yep.
And we'll find the suitable plan there for him.
Yep.
I just going back to that first question there. Sorry, Greg. You know, the one that like who's the broker working for? It's a really important question, and you answered it right in that we are working for the seller, for the vendor. That's our main aim is to get the vendor the highest possible price. But because we're broking a deal, we're also doing, as Pat said, all the work involved. We're with the ads right through the marketing process. So we're creating a relationship with buyers as well. And you don't want to get that confused with us working on the buyer's side. What we're trying to do as well is get a buyer engaged in the boat as much as possible, but we're working for the vendor.
Very good. Now, next question is from a client, Jason. What's the syndication market presently like? Are there any new catamarans becoming available in the near term, or considering syndications or potentially hiring? So my answer to that is I did just contract a yacht this last week that's going to be offered for syndication, because we personally don't, as a company, do syndications directly anymore. We stepped away from that. So basically there are companies in Australia and overseas who specialize in syndication. One of those companies just purchased a boat through us this week that they're going to syndicate in the Mediterranean. So I know, for instance, that there's some shares are going to be available for that. In this part of the world, there are a couple of companies doing it, mostly on the, maybe maximum 50-foot size range. But what we do now is if we get inquiries for syndication, we will refer those to a couple of our preferred or, partners who we've spoken with and not negotiated, but agreed to refer any inquiries to. So we welcome syndication inquiries, but we will then send them on to, in each area, the people who we have considered offering a good product. Also, if the potential buyer wants to go for a test sale, who should cover the fuel expense and who pays for the sea trial?
We're getting into very small details there, but fair enough. Look, at the end, it is okay. Sea trial, the fuel cost, gosh, normally for an hour, there should be enough fuel there in the boat to get the boat out for an hour of sea trial. We're not going to go far there, but normally it will be the owner who will do the sea trial there himself. And if he can't do it, he should be able to organize a skipper there for that day, who he relies on and trusts there to move the boat. Remember, until the boat changes hands, it's all still the responsibility of the owner, of the seller. So more importantly, I think it's about the survey. The survey is to be paid. I mean, the haul out and the surveyors are paid by the buyer. He's the one who wants to have this done. But remember, the owner still has to agree on where it will be hauled out, a place which is safe enough, which he will feel comfortable with. And if there needs to be a delivery cost there to it, normally to try to keep both parties happy, guess what? We try to do it 50-50.
Perfect. All right. Now, Jason, who I do know because he's what we call an owner in waiting, has just said, this the person asked a syndicate question. He wants a boat whilst he's waiting for his other boat to be ready. Give James a call, Jason. I know there's a Selena 48 that might be coming on the market. Could be the perfect boat for you for the next 12 to 18 months. But that's all good. So great information as usual, folks. We've got Rachel in the background there. Is there anything you think we've missed, Rachel? Just type in and let us know. But I think we've covered quite a lot there. We've answered all the questions, and I think that's been yet again a very resourceful presentation, and one that you've shared a lot of information, gentlemen, that I think a lot of clients it'll add to the trust factor in terms of people who are dealing with our organisation, the fact that you're so free with the knowledge and the share of information. So it's really good, and congratulations to you both for today.
Well, thank you. I hope it's been fruitful there or interesting for most of you guys watching. We really appreciate the interest, and do not hesitate to give us some feedback there. If you have further questions down the track, we'll be more than happy to help you.
And remembering too, it's multi-hull and monohull with Multihull Solutions and the Yacht Sales Co. We tend to get a little bit sidetracked on the multi-hulls, but we are now, you've got a growing list of monohull listings now. Is that correct, gents?
Yeah, they're coming on.
Yeah.
They're coming on, but they go as quickly. So we don't have much on the shelf at the moment. We just handed over one in Manly today. So they go very quickly there as well. It's a very easy commodity at the moment.
It's interesting. I was at the Dufour factory last week, as well as the Fontaine-Pajot factory, and it was quite incredible that because we all know, we talk a lot about how much demand there is for Fontaine-Pajot sailing catamarans at the moment. It's the same with Dufour. It's just amazing. They are also, into late 22, 23 type time frame. So it's across the whole industry, this pent up demand for brokerage and new. So.
Yeah, good time. Good time to sell.
Good time to sell, good time to buy. But anyway, because you know why it's a good time to buy? Because if you don't, you're just going to miss out. So just do it.
That's it.
All right, well, we'll leave it at that, and we'll say thank you to you both, and have a great afternoon.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, everyone, for joining in today.
Everyone.